Welcome to the Scale Model Podcast. In this podcast, we aim to entertain, inform, and promote the hobby of scale model kit building with interviews, reviews, and news about the hobby. The Scale Model Podcast is currently recorded bi-weekly and is available where your favorite podcasts are found, including iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, as well as our website at www.scalemodelpodcast.com. Let us know if you have any comments or suggestions at scalemodelpodcast@gmail.com or at our Facebook page at facebook.com/Scale Model Podcast. We also publish extra video content on our YouTube channel, and we also have a Patreon page at patreon.com/Scale Model Podcast. The money raised will be used to help offset web hosting and other costs. As the podcast grows, we hope to introduce giveaway and other bonuses to our Patreon supporters as a thank you for supporting the Scale Model Podcast. Welcome to episode 35 of the Scale Model Podcast, sponsored by Goodman Models. My name is Stuart Clark, and I am once again deep into the research lab side of Goodman Heavy Industries in their brand new 28, did you say million square feet? Or am I adding a few extra numbers there?
Yeah, we add a few zeros.
All right, well, anyway, no matter what, I'm here with my good friend and yours, Mr. Anthony Goodman.
Hi, Stuart. How are you?
Not bad. How are you tonight?
I'm wonderful, thank you.
It's been a busy couple of weeks. I should preempt this by those of you that follow my Facebook. My lovely wife, she who must be obeyed, the love of my life and all that. I haven't gotten much time modeling this week because the silly woman broke her fibula in her leg.
Ouch.
Yeah, she tripped over a cane, she said, but then she bounced off some things. So she has the most creative, and she'll admit it, she has the most creative ways of hurting herself. So it means she's getting spoiled by getting breakfast in bed every day.
Yep, caretaker stew.
Caretaker stew means Stuart's doing a lot of steps up and down with meals and all that. So, but we've got her laptop up there, and she's got her knitting, and the cats are loving it. And so doing what we can, but it's been a lot of extra work, so hopefully she'll feel better soon. I know her knitting groups are missing her as well, so, but there we go. So yeah, just before Christmas too, that never helps.
Of course.
That never helps. I have a joke that a lot of awesome women I know in my life, they find the most creative ways of hurting themselves. I had a former coworker, wonderful lady. She cut herself opening a first aid kit.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So I promptly put her on the health and safety committee. I figured that'd be the best place for her. Yeah. So yeah, all sorts of new things coming out. We also have to thank our latest Patreon supporter.
Yes.
And that's our good friend from Australia, the giver of plenty of cool ideas, Mr. Tony Jacob.
Wonderful.
And he's also the one partially responsible for the whole Moosaroo Cup.
Yes. Yeah, that kind of came from him.
That kind of came from him. I think he knew what he was doing.
Tony.
I wouldn't know if we call it shit disturbing or not, but that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's fine. But yes, we appreciate that. And if you want to join our fabulous legion of Patreon supporters, feel free at patreon.com.
Yes. Thank you very much
Scale
for your
Model
support.
Podcast. Also for our Patreon supporters, you should have gotten an email about part 1 of our YF19 series.
Yes.
On how did we call that? How to build a resin.
It's VF now.
Sorry, VF. My apologies.
There was some confusion about that.
Yes, talking all about resin modeling. We did the first part. It's been released. This part 2 will be released in a week as an exclusive for our Patreon supporters, and it's going to be good. So, all right. So let's get right to it. So speaking of Tony, Tony came to us with some listener mail.
Yeah, wonderful.
This week. So Tony basically talked about our reluctance to try new things.
That's a biggie.
Yeah, I'm just going to summarize some of his emails. He said, it used to be we could try and fall in the privacy and secrecy of our own hobby rooms. But with social media, the benefits of trying and failing have become something some of us don't seem willing to do. I looked at a couple of my builds over the last 10 or 20 years and realized that even just on the subject of weathering, my skills have evolved. And he did send some pictures, and I'll throw those up in the gallery as well.
Nice work, Tom.
So you had another word for it. We were thinking about that just before.
Well, what was that? Yeah, I mean, we were discussing this a little bit, and a good friend of mine, the wonderful Don Van Duzen, always likes to joke about the advanced Mahler syndrome.
Okay.
And I think that he was talking about the people who get just a little, they're overthinking, and they get stuck, like Mahler's block.
Okay.
Like writer's block, and they're not really building anything. They're obsessing over maybe small details, or if things aren't going perfectly right, they get totally stalled out. And I think probably everyone's experienced a touch of that
Yep.
in their hobby life or in real life too, right? Regular life, let's say.
Yeah, I think
And-
we've all been through there.
Yeah, and I think I know I definitely struggled with that early on when I didn't know anything at all, and I'm certainly not saying I know everything, but I've definitely acquired some skills, and I'm hungry for more.
Mm-hmm.
And those skills have come from actually doing stuff.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
reading things, looking at social media, watching videos, looking at other people's pictures, buying research books. That's all fine and well, but you don't learn anything until you start to do. And when you start to do, you make mistakes, right? And I've made so many, but I'm not worried about that. There's always a takeaway, you know? Like, even if it's never do that again. Don't do that. That's a great lesson, right?
Well, I think it's a learning process, right?
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what it is. And you have to,
Yeah.
you get out of the hobby what you want to put in. For some people, they want to build something so exact down to the rivet size.
Yeah.
And that's fine if you're into that. Other people just want to slap something together and just for something to do. And if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. Like myself, I fall somewhere in the middle. It really varies on my mood, and
everybody is on a journey.
everyone
right?
is, and it doesn't matter if
You're
are
at a different spot in your journey.
And there's the only person you have to please is yourself.
That's true.
In the end. Now, and we've talked about people build for contests, and people enjoy doing that. If they want to do that, they do that. I personally don't. I just enjoy, I won't say slapping it together, but, I'll certainly play around with new techniques and that. And the first few times I do it, if it's not perfect, it's not perfect, and that's fine.
Yeah, and not much. It's rarely that it is perfect, right?
Exactly.
But it's from doing whatever process, wherever you are and you're at that stage in your journey.
Yep.
You're going to be learning something. Like, this is a hobby that's fundamentally, a learning process, right?
Right,
And
right.
there's no end.
Exactly.
And everyone starts at the beginning. Mm-hmm. That's the only commonality. So yeah, he's talking about how his builds have improved, and he's tried things, and they've yielded results for him. So, and I think certainly I encourage people to you do have to try things if you want to get the most fun out of it. That's my sort of opinion or take on it.
And I basically agree with all that. Like for me, the model building hobby for me isn't about winning contests or things like that. It's actually just using my hands, something non-digital.
Making something.
Something I enjoy seeing, different things. And that's why my interests are all over the place. I don't exclusively build aircraft or whatever. It really varies and depends on my mood and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm basically kind of the same thing. So, what I'll do is I'll throw out a Facebook post on our Facebook group, and I'll ask people's opinions on this. We'll see if we can get a dialogue going. So, thank you for that email, Tony.
Thanks, Tom.
Speaking of a dialogue, I did throw out a posting we talked about it on the last show about what the most memorable kit release in 2019.
Got some great feedback.
You've gotten some great feedback. We still want more. We won't really do a final thing until the end of the year. You know what I love? There has been very few that are the same.
I noticed that too.
It's
There was
across the board.
very little replication.
Yeah. So, for example, I see you posted the Tamiya Sheridan.
I did.
People have talked about the Spitfire, the Airfix Hellcat.
Give it all away.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're just getting some ideas,
So please contribute. What were you thinking about?
You don't necessarily have had to have bought it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be even out yet. Like someone talked about the Wingnut Wings 132nd scale Lancaster.
Yes.
It's just had to be announced. You don't have to have it yet, but just what one that made you go, wow.
What are you thinking about? What's on your mind?
See, and that's the thing. I'm really trying to decide because, for example, Wingnut Wings Lancaster looks good, but we've also got one or two in the new releases this week that I'm kind of going,
Wow.
this is why I say we'll leave it till the end of the year. But so feel free to continue to add to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also want to point out one more. And I was trying to just find it while you were talking there, but our good friend Ricardo
Salome from Raptor Hobbies.
Raptor Hobbies. He sent me a little picture thing, and it must be in my other Facebook page, but he's been working on, because he remembers hearing about that I was always interested in that Hasegawa, I think it was 172nd or 148 scale Voyager probe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's actually building one.
Yes.
He's building it right now.
Okay, cool.
He's got a little photo gallery. So I'm going to find that and I'll post the pictures.
Right on.
So that looks nice.
Ricardo's work is really top notch.
He does some really good stuff. And he's got a great web presence here in Canada. Mm-hmm. So yeah, check
It's an awesome little shop. I've picked up quite a few things from Raptor.
He's got some good stuff, and he vends at the show, and we always love seeing him. So that's pretty good as well. So that's basically our listener mail for this week. We're going to go right into the latest news. So end of the year coming, ton of announcements. So we're going to start with our friends at Hobby Boss. 2 Christmas releases. So both Russian, one Russian, one Israeli. Yes. So the first one is in 1/48 scale, the MiG-31BM. This is the MiG-31B. It's the latest version of the MiG-31. So this is the Firefox. So this was an added air-to-ground capability. So it was built in '97. The 110 aircraft are in the Air Force right now. They do plan to upgrade it. So this is designed as a multi-role. So it's going to do long-range interception, precision strike, and defense suppression. Cool. One of its roles, it does harm, so it's suppression of enemy air defenses. Quite a good-looking kit. Basically, this was based on the MiG-25, the Foxbat. So big-ass engines. It can reach 3,000 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
It features the new KH-47M2 hypersonic missile. This is the first air-launched hypersonic ballistic missile in the world. It weighs about 5 tons, 7 meters, and it goes very, very fast.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the new range of stuff. Apparently, it can go up to Mach 10.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So, and it's basically called the most difficult missile to intercept in the world. At Mach 10, I would think so.
Yeah. It won't be the same as tipping a V2 with
no,
the wing ears.
We're going to talk about that. So anyway, this kit, 48 scale. Big size, almost 0.5 meter in length.
Oh my goodness.
17 sprues, fuselage and tires, 300 parts. Nice bit of photo etch there. Metal in the undercarriage, I would think so. Rubber tires. Nice looking kit if you like your Russian fighters. Yeah, there is something unique about the Russian fighters' designs, eh?
Absolutely. There's a Russian aesthetic.
Whether it's Sukhois or MiGs or whatever, they're all kind of...
You can tell it's Russian, right?
Yeah.
Even their armor and over the decades, right?
Yeah.
Over the
It's funny how that is. So the next one is from Israel, 1/35th scale. This is the IDF Puma AEV. So this is basically a combat engineering vehicle, an armored personnel carrier. So it can carry a crew up to 8. It's 50 tons. It basically uses a heavily modified hull that dates back to the original British Centurion tank. And then this one comes with a carpet mine clearing system. So it consists of 20 rockets the crew can fire singly or all together. They contain a fuel-air explosive warhead, which spreads the cloud to fuel fumes, which are then detonated. The overpressure destroys most mines. Yeah. It then advances and has a set of rollers that can do that as well. Yeah. That's the kind of jump I don't really want anyway, no matter what.
These things are awesome.
No matter how safe that looks.
There's a similar setup with the Abrams.
Yeah,
where it has
very
a mine
similar.
roller
It has the mine roller.
Wow,
and that all goes back to the original Sherman. We were talking about the funnies.
Yes.
From World War II. The Shermans had the old ball and with the little chains at the end.
Yeah, to kind of whip
Same
through.
idea, yeah. So this looks very nice. A lot of decals with it. It's also capable of towing a mobile bridge for deploying over trenches. So yeah, it pulls the bridge during combat and pushes the bridge over the obstacle. I have to admit, I had never heard of this vehicle before this. It looks quite impressive. The Israelis always come up with some innovative stuff.
Yeah, they're very unique looking vehicles. And I think this is sort of a common technology, right? Like nowadays, like they're saying the equivalent with the Abrams.
Yeah. It's got vinyl road weirs, chain and copper cable and photo etch are included with the kit. 32 sprues, 1,200 parts. So you know it's individual link tracks.
Yes.
Which it does say there. 2 directional slide molded lower hull. So those are now available in December.
Sorry. The mine flail was the World War II the modified Sherman that
Yeah.
had the barrel in the front with
Yep.
with the chain slung from it, so it would
Exactly.
wrap around and
trigger the mines off.
trigger them before the
Hopefully.
tank got there. That would be a dangerous job. I have a lot more faith in the Puma.
Yeah, you just I'm sure you've got your eyes half closed half the time.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they know what they're doing. So, okay, then we have speaking of Russian, Zvezdas, new items in their catalog for 2020. They're producing a lot of stuff now. The only problem is they've released their catalog, but everything's in Russian. So our good friends, but there's a lot of pictures in that. Our good friends at the Modeling News has some pictures of the catalog. Looks like they're going to be producing some larger aircraft this year. Definitely. They've got their early learning models as well. Their cute little version of the egg planes. So they're going to do a brand new Hind in 1/48 scale. And again, you see a couple more Russian helicopters there in the pictures. Some experimental stuff. And then if we continue down, I think they also had a Sukhoi 30, which looks new.
Yeah.
So a whole bunch of different releases. Of course, the the Su-57, sorry.
So the Alligator is
Yep.
one of the looks like a modern.
Yeah, we'd actually talked about that, 5th or 6th generation.
Yeah, the double rotor helicopter, like attack
Yeah.
helicopter. It
Yeah,
looks like.
looks like a Yak 3 is going to be coming out. I also saw in a message form, they've got a couple of their larger planes, like the big transports, like the equivalents to the Galaxies and that, the Antonovs. So apparently they're releasing some of those that are going to be newer. So again, we'll have to keep an eye once the English translation, but for those of you that know your Russian or feel like running it through the translator, whole bunch of stuff from them. They're really producing a ton of stuff now.
Yeah, they're really taking off.
Absolute ton. They've got civilians, a lot of armor, some civilian stuff. You've got the shipping stuff. If it's Russian, they pretty well have it. Looks like they've got looks like one of the original cruisers from 1901. One of the probably one of the ones that went to Japan that met a disastrous end. So yeah, all sorts of different things. Some nice subs, So yeah, all sorts of things.
Even lots of eras too.
Yeah. Oh, looks like they got the Disney license over there. So they've got the Black Pearl from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow.
Except it's in Russian.
And we have seen lots of Star Wars releases from them, right?
Yep. Yeah, they have the Star Wars license, a lot of wargaming stuff. They've got the Marvel license over there too.
Oh wow.
They even do their own paints and that now. So anyway, check out that. So moving on, I'm just gonna. Of course, I clicked on 20 things, and then now 20 things opened. AK announcements. All this stuff coming out from AK. Always.
Yeah, they've been quite prolific
Yeah,
too.
so new books and tools for December. Lots of new bits. So again, our friends at the Modeling News have a handy preview, including a cute little AK-style Christmas tree, if you believe in bad taste. So a bunch of AK-47s stacked up with
You read my mind.
Yeah, okay, anyway.
I was speechless there for a minute.
There we go. AK Learning, number 10 of their series, Mastering Vegetation and Modeling for €10.
I want that. That looks awesome.
Yeah, so all aspects, tricks, and secrets involved to make vegetation and dioramas.
Cool.
Step by step. Again, the quality of their stuff's always cool, so you can't go wrong with that.
It's a real cut above. I love that stuff. Yeah. I'm gonna get that book.
All right, this one looks like a historical one. The Invasion, 1982, the Invasion of Lebanon. Samir Cassis, 300 pages, €40. So this was on 1982. Israel launched Operation Peace for Galilee. So they basically invaded the south end of Lebanon.
Sounds peaceful.
Yeah, well, So it looks like a lot of, if you're into Israeli armor and Arab armor, some amazing, looks like pictures here, dedicated for Marian lovers of history. Yep. Yeah. Documents the use from the IDF armed forces to the T-54, 55, and even some rare versions of the T-34. Yeah,
I see some Zelda pictures in there too.
They used the old T-34 for a while there. Okay, speaking of the T-54, T-55, modeling the T-54, 55 they're worked with Mini Art on this. 176 pages, €28. So this is their first collaboration between AK and Mini Art, and that's good.
Yeah.
So, because both brands are good. They're covering the scale models of the iconic tank and the new Mini Art models. 6 extensive and amazing step-by-step articles, all sorts of things about the tanks. So again, if you're building some T-54s, that might be a good source to have.
These steps too. I mean, probably any tank from close to that era, you can
apply this to. Yeah,
to,
exactly.
right?
For like urban and desert.
Yeah, but even like, if you're doing something kind of late Cold War, this is still going to be probably a really great reference. Because I know sometimes, like you get a paint set or a book about something
very
it's
specific.
About this one particular.
Yeah, but you can apply those.
But the information is universal if it's kind of roughly within.
And it kind of goes back to what we were
era.
talking about before, where it's you can try new things. You get some inspiration to try new things.
It gives you some ideas you can apply to whatever thing you're doing, and usually it's like I was saying, if you're picking the similar era, right? These books are going to be really helpful.
Yeah, I think so. Next up, we have from the Africa Corps, the German AFVs in North Africa, 196 pages, again, 29 euros. Again, another similar thing. They talk a lot about the extreme wear.
Yeah.
These would be in the desert environment. So, it looks like some nice looking materials there. It's funny, most of the tanks, 35th scale tanks I've worked on so far, 2 out of the 3 are in desert.
Okay.
I just enjoy the schemes. I mean, it's because it's easy. I don't know. No, not easy, but I enjoy the one piece with a lot of weathering.
Yeah.
I've got a Tiger and I've got a Panzer II. And the Panther I did in an Eastern Front European one. But again, this looks really good as well.
Yeah, this looks awesome.
Yep. Moving on, a history of the Sturmgerts. This is the assault gun units. So a history, 118 pages, 24 euros. So a whole history of the studded assault guns. For those of you for that thing, which are basic, including the uniforms. Stuff like that. So again, they were this assault guns were actually built in greater numbers than any other tank.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they built far more than any other. I think because I was reading something the other day on the Panzer IV, because there's a new release of that coming out, and they were talking about that being out. So again, if you're into these, definitely check that out.
Very cool.
Okay, and here's something you might find interesting: a double-sided sanding sponge file, semi-gloss effect fine polishing. Looks like a package of 10 is 5 euros. Practical sanding sponges, triangular finishing to reach the most difficult corners. Its 2 faces has a different grade, so it's like a 2-sided sanding stick, but it's a little triangle.
Yeah, I like it. I like the shape.
It looks like a very fine, very small too, if they have a picture there. Semi-gloss, what does it say there? Semi-gloss and fine, so it must be really fine grits. Semi-gloss and polished.
Yeah,
effect.
they're probably higher.
Yeah.
Those look cool.
All right. And then they've got their own side cutter now. AK side cutter tool.
Sweet.
That's 5 euros. That's like $7.50. That's not bad at all.
Okay.
Kind of reminds me of a side cutter I got at a surplus shop recently for roughly the same price. It looks the same too.
I wonder if it's a Xuron that's been repackaged or something like that.
I don't know, or a Xuron knockoff. It's funny. I've bought Xuron before, and I got this one at our local Forest City surplus.
Okay.
For like
so
$7,
it's kind of
$8,
like a no-name.
but it looks the same, and it's great. It works well.
If it's true, right?
Yep.
That's the kind of the most important part.
Yeah, but again, for that price, and again, if it gets more people into it, then we have a hand drill precision. Yeah. It's pin vise. I'm not being very precise there, am I? With 2mm to 3.4mm bits for just under 10 euros. Mm-hmm. Pin vise is always good. Made of aluminum alloy, lacquered in black with the brand logo.
That is a key piece of kit.
Of kit, very much so.
And we should talk about that further.
We'll have to talk about that at some point. Then they've got a cutting tool. Cutting tool, high carbide steel with 20 replacement blades. Looks like an X-Acto, but it's got a slightly different blade on it. Mm-hmm. Safety hood. Yeah, so again, comes with 10 blades. Not a bad deal. And they also have tweezers for €2.80. I don't know if they call over there 80 cents or not. I'll have to look into that.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have euros as the dollar, €2, €3. I wonder if it's cents. These look like nice looking tweezers. Very fine looking tweezers.
That looks awesome.
Yeah. So
they're great stuff. You got to have good tools.
You got it. It's worth the investment. So they're on sale now, of course, from AK Interactive. Okay, Italeri. A couple of December items. So I think a couple of these we've talked about before, but they're now actually available. So the first one is, again, part of their wargaming or whatever. Another battle set. So the Stalingrad siege in 1942.
Wow.
So for 74 euros, you get two T-34s, 48th Russian figures, a Panzer IV, a PaK-40, 50 infantry figures, a bunch of like little accessories like benches and that, and an MDF Stalingrad tractor plant. Now, like I said, I remember having these when I was a kid. They didn't have the MDF buildings. That looks
awesome.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Detailed, full decal sheet, stuff like that. I know the war gamers are into this stuff, but even then, you know, and again, if you look at the 1/72nd scale tanks, you can see there's not a lot of parts. Like if you look at, you know, but
It's
again,
just a
wargaming, well, it's not
That's
really a blob,
fine.
just
Yeah.
the part, like the wheels and tracks are all one piece,
Okay.
you know.
But for gaming, it's going
Yeah.
to be detailed enough that it looks
Yeah.
cool to play with.
Yeah, and if
right?
you want to get it set up, you're into painting and all that. So, yeah, a lot of stuff there. But yeah, that tractor factory. This is where MDF really excels. If you look at some of the window frames and that
laser cut stuff.
laser cut
Awesome.
stuff. Yeah, I would love a laser cutter.
Me too.
I know, but our wives won't let us have one. We'd probably cut the cat's tail off.
No.
I know.
Oh, I'm thinking of a 3D printer.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're
3D.
coming down
Yeah, they are.
rapidly in price.
More and more. So again, they've got quite a bit of pictures on the sample site there, and it's
Yeah.
all sorts of cool ideas. Someone did a nice job with this, for the with the snow and everything.
That's a nice way that they're actually kind of breathing new life. And you said these are quite old originally. Like
The
figures.
original ideas, I remember them having
Yeah.
them years ago. Atari and
70s?
Esky, yeah, Esky also did them.
Yeah.
And again, what would happen was the base back then was like a plastic base. It was all
Yeah.
right for the time.
Yeah.
But it certainly wasn't the accuracy. But you get a couple tanks and some figures. And
Yeah,
I
so
still
you
have
can-
some of those. I
That's
still have some of
funny.
the figures.
Yeah.
Around. They were in a hard plastic. They were better than the Airfix soft plastic for the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they were a harder plastic. They held the paint more. But yeah, they were fun.
Yeah.
You know, you
but
could-
this is like, now you're getting something, like having this sort of structure, all these pieces, it looks really great.
Yep.
The details are awesome. There's like damage on some of the
Yeah,
different
exactly.
walls. Like it's a good way. It's a really good way of remarketing an older product,
Yep,
right? But
exactly.
actually giving it some value,
Some new
that-
life or whatever.
that you
And
can
obviously the other ones they've made have been selling, or they wouldn't release another one.
Yeah, that's an awesome factory scene or whatever. That's huge. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
that looks good.
Buildings.
Okay, next up is, and I know we talked about this before, but it's finally here, the F-35 Lightning B. So this is the short takeoff and landing, the vertical version. So this is the one the Royal Navy has purchased for use on their Queen Elizabeth aircraft carriers.
Cool.
So 30 euros. Looks like a nice piece of kit there. So all new molding. They've got versions for the U.S. Marine Corps, the Royal Navy, and the Italian Air Force. All in generally the same gray color scheme, because it's all
all Marines,
low
yeah.
vis.
Or low vis. Yeah, these
Yep.
are awesome.
Yeah. So in one of the ones including the Royal Navy that will be on HMS Queen Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then one for the Italian Navy. And I didn't realize they were going to be operating the F-35. So there we go. So that looks good. It looks very nicely detailed for 1/72nd. The other thing too is if you look at the screenshot of the sprues in the cockpit, or
Okay.
the actual canopy, sorry,
Oh yeah.
it looks like it's slightly tinted.
What do we see?
They got some extra
is it meant to
details
be
there.
Tinted?
Yeah, a little
Yes,
bit. Looks like they got
yeah.
some extra.
It's like an anti-glare coating.
Yeah, it looks like they got some extra detail there.
It does look like have a bit of a yellow, like a clear
Yeah.
yellow
Yep.
sort of tint to it. Yeah, that's awesome. That looks pretty sweet. I think it'd be fun. That'd be a fun kit.
That's going to be a nice one, yeah, to
build
build up. I wouldn't mind. I'm actually might, if I see that somewhere at some point, it's a big enough size. Then we move on to the 48 scale MiG-23, the Flogger. This is a swing wing. It was designed as an attack and fighter aircraft. It was supposed to replace the MiG-21, which it did a pretty good job. But it's also well known as a very good ground attack aircraft. And you got a couple of color schemes, including the Polish Air Force, the East German Air Force, the Libyan National Army, the Syrian Air Force, the Luftwaffe once unification happened in 91, because as we know, they got a bunch of Russian stuff. And they even have one here that's in the Russian Federation Air Museum in Moscow.
cool. Those are nice schemes.
Yep. Yeah, pretty good. Looks like some nice sprues there. All sorts of options. Next up, the Mercedes-Benz G230. This is a four-wheel drive. I guess kind of the equivalent of the Land Rover.
Has that look about it, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah,
124
cool.
scale. Yeah, off-road vehicle. Developed by the German car manufacturer during the 1970s. Now, I do have to say, our friends at On the Bench were talking about this kit as well, and
Really?
I'm with Dave on this. It doesn't excite me, and Dave was having to explain to young Julian about you haven't lived until you've driven an old Land Rover.
Oh man,
You
that'd
know,
be
through
fun.
the bush, set it into first gear up like a 30-degree slope. You know,
Oh,
my
yeah.
dad had an old Land Rover. And,
Yep.
Yeah, and then when you were done, and I loved it. He said, "Yeah, you used to bring them back. You take the seats out and run a hose through them, the inside of them, and clean them out. Like that's
That is the ultimate practical vehicle.
exactly." But I'm sure the Mercedes just isn't. But I have to admit, when I listened to that from our friends at On the Bench, I had a good chuckle.
Yeah.
So Dave, I agree with you there, mate. But
Yeah,
this looks like a
awesome.
nice little kit, and they've built a ton of these over the years.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very successful one for them. And then we have this is a new stuff this is something new that Itali's coming out with. So this is part of their World of Tanks series. It's an easy to build kit of the 72nd scale Tiger.
Okay.
So this includes a stand base, an in-game bonus and invitation code for the game, the video game, World of Tanks, and stickers for customization. So the idea is
now, are they decals or stickers?
stickers. So the idea is, like, if you look at the part count, it's a very low part count.
Yeah, it's a simplistic kit.
It's I think kind of the idea is that, if you're playing the Tiger in the game, you could have it on top of your monitor. while
like
you're playing.
a desktop
Desktop
little
model,
display
yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and they've got a bunch of different decals for the various tanks and all that. And then they have the bonus code, which is valid for the European and American game server. So you get 3 days of World of Tank Premium, a large repair kit, automatic fire extinguisher, 105 octane gasoline, and 1 invite code. I'm sure people that play the game know exactly what's going
They know
on
what's
there.
going on.
But yeah, there's been a few of these, and again, we talk about the merger of two media
Yeah.
licenses,
Yeah,
and
makes
if it
sense.
works, you even get a nice little stand for it. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
You wouldn't want to, like, if you're trying to lure people in from sort of similar kind of hobbies,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can't give them the most advanced
No.
thing and be like, here,
And if you
build
want
this
something, they might
thing.
like this. Exactly.
Yeah,
This is what
build something easy you can slap
Yeah.
together, get a sense of it.
Yeah, so
and
these
maybe
were-
you want to move up.
So these are like just under €10. They also have a Panther. Again, with all the stuff, the same similar thing. You get the bonus codes, stuff like that. Yeah, nice little. What a cool idea.
Yeah, it's a good little tie-in, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
right? To attract people or...
Yep, exactly. Okay, now we're going to move over to the Far East. Our good friends at Hasegawa,
Right.
and they have all sorts of goodies, as you know.
I love Hasegawa kits. I have built a
all
number
sorts
of
of
them. I like
different
the
ones.
way
So
they
if I look at the
operate.
December release,
Uh-huh.
looks like they're reissuing an F4 Phantom, a Japanese Navy destroyer, a Yamaha 112th, the limited edition, the YZR 500. And then there's this one here I was asking you about before we went to air, this Last Exile. This looks like a steampunk car on steroids.
It's an airplane, I think, though.
Is it an airplane?
Yeah.
Okay, so describe what you were saying, what this is all about.
I haven't seen this.
No, but you know a lot
yeah.
more about it than I do.
It's a sort of a fantasy. It is a more recent anime, like from the last. I think it was a TV show.
Okay.
I'm gonna say from the last 10 years.
Okay.
So it's fairly modern, and I know it was quite popular. So there's been a series of kits released from it, and it featured these kind of like flying, very steampunk kind of, almost Victorian era kind of airplanes.
Right.
And like it featured like balloon like blimp style airships. And,
Okay.
And I think one of the guys from the club did a beautiful build of one of these things, and they're called van ships.
Okay.
And so this must be a new like a little variant of it. I think it's meant to be an airplane.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of
Look at
the
it.
car in, I think it was Captain Nemo's car in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah,
Remember that
it's
from
that
the
kind of like
large,
what do you,
early
steampunk?
steampunk, 19 early.
Yeah.
That looks neat.
Late 1800s,
Yeah,
early 1900s,
1900s,
but kind of
big ass
fictional.
hood, and
Yeah.
that looks really neat. I have to admit. Then they've got a couple of again, it's popular in Japan. Your regular, what I call regular cars, the Skyline GTSX,
Oh, I
and
love
the
those.
Nissan Bluebird, and then they also have here another one piece of construction equipment from Hitachi. And that's coming soon. Those seem to be very popular.
Yeah, that's
A
awesome.
bunch of different ones they produced, and there's one here from Crusher Joe, a limited edition Minerva.
Yeah,
1/400th.
I'm not sure what's going on with this because this kit the Minerva did come out like last year.
Yeah, it looks
we
like it comes
discussed
with an Elfin figure.
Ah, okay.
So it probably comes with a bonus
because this is
figure.
they're saying a limited edition, right? So
Yeah.
they do these low runs,
Okay.
and I think fans have been waiting for that kit for like
Have they?
decades.
Okay.
Yeah, a proper Minerva
All
kit.
right. We'll take a quick sneak peek into January anyway, because
Okay.
they have another Hitachi machinery, 1/35th scale construction machinery, an excavator. So wouldn't that be fun to do with a diorama with some armor? In the January one, 3680 from our friend Scott at HobbyLink Japan,
That looks awesome.
a 1/48 scale Draken, here we go, a 1/144th Tupolev, Tu-144. This was the Russian equivalent of the Concorde.
Yes.
Right, so
Yeah.
that one there.
That's kind of a storied plane. Like it didn't.
Oh,
it
yeah.
did- I think there was 2 of them or 3 of them, and two of them crashed.
Yeah, they had
It
issues.
didn't have a
with
good
it.
record.
They had issues too, just like the Concorde.
And I don't think this has been kitted except for. Oh,
It's
man,
been a while.
This vintage. It was a
Yeah.
60s kit.
Yeah,
And
it's
where
been
I
a
was
while.
mentioning I had that kit, and it was huge. And I got it from one of the senior members of the club, and it was at our swap night, and
Was it?
and I just sort of I had no idea what it was. It caught my eye and thought that is a weird looking
I'm
science fiction
actually
plane.
just for the heck of it, I'm just going to look it up here. I'm just
Yeah.
going to check
And I
with
asked
our
him,
good friends at ScaleMates.
what would you like for this plane? And he
Yeah.
said, oh, I'll charge you the price that I paid for it. I got it in Cuba in 1968, and there was a price tag on it. It was like
God.
$1.50.
Oh God!
So I gave him a toonie for it.
There we go. What toonie is for those of us who aren't in Canada?
Yeah.
$2 Canadian.
$2, yeah.
We
And then I ended
call it-
up passing it on to a friend of ours, Dave Bailey from the Toronto area, who
he ever
who had
build
been
it?
searching for it.
Did he build it?
I don't know, but he collected that series, that same maker. I forget
Yeah.
the maker. It was like a vintage, and I'm sure you'll find it on ScaleMates there.
I'm
And
trying to find it.
he
period.
blew his mind. I had just decided I've got too many kits. I gotta move something along, and I kind of bought it on a whim. And it's very long. Like it was probably a good 16 inches long.
Right.
And it did have a bit of a wingspan. I thought, oh, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, there's definitely. I'm having trouble finding anything on ScaleMates with a Tupolev.
If I didn't sell
144.
some mount kits, you'd have nowhere to sit.
Well, exactly. So I appreciate that. So anyway, that one's coming out.
Yeah, that'll be
Is
neat.
there anything else? Nothing else that really stands out. We can wait.
I think those are the ones that we were yipping about.
Yeah, those are the
caught
main
our eye.
ones. Those are the main ones. We'll talk about Hasegawa in January a little bit more.
Yeah.
As we go. Moving right along, we found some stuff from Rodin. You found these
yeah.
actually.
Kind of interesting, right? A 1-to-1 44th scale Cargo Master. Douglas, it's a
Yeah,
Douglas C-133.
Yeah, have you noticed there's a lot more both new and old transport planes that are
I love
starting
transport
I know, but there
planes.
seems to be a lot more companies releasing them,
Good.
both the older stuff
Yay.
and the newer stuff.
Yeah.
And in all scales, including crazy scales.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is 1-to-1 44, so I think that's a typical traditional
For
scale
that size, yeah.
for larger cargo planes, and
Isn't
just
that-
a beautiful box art.
I'm trying to remember, isn't that Dave's scale? Didn't he build those for a while? He builds a lot of.
Oh yeah, was he trying to buy the whole the
was trying to do
entire Air
something like
Force
that.
in 1-to-1 44?
Yeah, something like that, I think. And then you also had a Stratoliner here.
Yeah, and was that also the same scale?
Yeah, yep. Boeing
Yes.
307 Stratoliner in
So these-
TWA markings.
Now these are February releases
Yeah.
for Rodin. I don't have any experience with that maker, but kind of something to keep your eye out for. So Stratoliner, Boeing 307. It looks pretty cool. I don't know anything about it, but it looks vintage. Like
There's
it's
people
an
that love
older
to.
plane.
There's people that love to build them.
There's that kind of that period in the 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. Even let's say
Mm-hmm.
there's that look of of airplane design,
Yeah.
very aerodynamic, sleek. It's very, I love it. It's like Art Deco influence.
Art Deco, that's
modern,
the word I was thinking of. Yeah.
modern stuff. I love that like Howard Hughes era of planes. Like they have a really beautiful look to them.
Now, in terms of Rodin, you would have recognized some of the kits. They've done a lot of World War I planes over the years.
Okay, yeah.
They were the kind of, a lot of people respected them for the World War I
So not
releases
like
before Wingnet came out.
yeah, they're not like a new kid on the block exactly.
No, they've been out for quite a while. They're in Europe. I'm trying to think now.
Oh, you know what? I'm just looking through. I recognize some of their releases that we talked
you'll
about.
recognize.
The Omnibus, Old
Yep.
Bill, and
The Old
some
Bill
things
of
we
that.
discussed
Yep.
before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
Oh, that's speaking of the omnibus. I'm gonna insert one in there. Remember we talked about last show Mini Art? They had a military omnibus,
Yes.
and remember I said this came from, they literally took some of the ones that were serving in
They
London,
cut them
the
apart.
civilian buses. They
armored
modified them and moved them.
Yeah.
And I mentioned about that Airfix had a 1/32 scale
Okay.
civilian omnibus like London Transport that's been around for years, right? And people were modifying it. Well, Mini Art is coming out with a civilian one.
Oh, okay.
So in 1/35 scale, and it's the B-type London omnibus. I'm going to put that in the show notes.
So it's the original like civilian peacetime.
It's the original civilian
okay.
peacetime one,
Yeah.
but this is 1/35 scale.
Unmodified.
Unlike
Cool.
the old Airfix, they literally, I think it was either announced yesterday or today.
There you
Like,
go.
and
Fresh off the presses for listeners.
I can't believe I didn't put that
Bro.
in my thing. And this is
not
what I was
over
talking
yet?
about. One of my, this might be kind of a cool
Something
thing
you'd
for,
like to do?
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna put that one in the show notes, because I know a lot of people who like building those sort of things.
Yeah.
That will be
That's
a
cool,
very
right?
popular release with a certain crowd.
A very distinctive,
Very, very distinctive.
kind of design, right? So
Yeah.
I can see why that would really appeal
Yeah.
to people.
Okay, speaking of a distinctive design, and one I know a lot of people will be excited about.
Oh, yeah.
The car model, Ming. They have announced in 1/12 scale a Ford GT40 Mark II Team Shelby America. This was the 1966 model that raced at Le Mans.
Another one of these
Completely
things,
new tool. This is not, as they say, it's not a re-edition of the Trumpeter. It's a completely new tool.
There's been a lot of interesting media coming out around, like, isn't there a new filmable, the 24-hour?
So Ford
Le Mans?
versus Ferrari. They
Yeah,
have that. So
there's a few
lot of
movies
interest,
have come out.
Yeah, this is a very classic car.
Yeah.
I was at Goodwood once and had a chance to see one, and it's incredibly loud.
Yeah, it
Man,
lives up
is it
to your
just-
wildest dreams. in
Yeah,
person.
if I was the multi-billionaire, there'd be one in the garage. I probably couldn't fit in the damn thing, but So yeah,
You'd
this
still try.
I'd still try. So this one was
Cool.
was driven by Dennis Hume and Ken Miles with number 1. It raced in the 1966
Awesome.
Le Mans. This is going to be a nice looking kit.
Excellent.
I know I've already seen some people on some of the Facebook groups already talking about it. And this will be, again, this is one of those ones where I don't normally build cars, but
Why not?
if I see it at some point, it may have to show
Have
up.
they released a price on that yet?
Not yet. Literally just the last couple of days. So,
Coming up.
we should point out we're actually recording this on Friday night. We decided to. We were
Yeah.
going to do an interview, but then our person who interviewed had to cancel at the last minute. So we decided while we're here, we'll do this. Okay, moving on. Again, this is another one I know our friends at On the Bench talked about. They're excited
Okay.
about. Sword's coming out with a new release in 1/72 scale of 5. Allows you to build. It's a single kit, but allows you to build 5 different versions of the Seafire. So the Seafire was the naval version of the Spitfire, designed to operate off aircraft carriers during the war. A bunch of modifications they did to it. So this was going to allow you can build either a Mark III, a Mark II-C, a Mark 15, either late or early version, or a Mark 17, which are all very popular in 1/72.
Those are all awesome schemes. Like
Yeah,
they,
the naval schemes are quite good, and again, the Seafire served very well. And Sword always makes some interesting stuff. So HobbyLink Japan has that for about $67 Canadian as a pre-release price. So we'll have to see what happens. Yeah, Sword does some interesting things. They've always
sure do.
They've always done some kind of oddball stuff, but I've always heard good things about them. I haven't built one myself.
Same here.
But again, they've always built some interesting subjects. So that'll be interesting for the Spitfire fans. On my to-do pile at some point, I've got I still have a bunch of 48 scale Spitfires, but I would like to get a 48 scale Seafire at some point.
Cool.
And build that. So, okay, also on the topic of Spitfires.
Love Spitfires here at
my
Scale Model Podcast.
Well, it is my favorite plane.
Yeah.
I will make no bones about that.
I'm gonna build the PRU one sometime.
Yeah, you like that one, don't you?
I think it's really awesome.
So Special Hobbies, they're coming out. They're out of Poland. They're coming out with a Spitfire in 1/48 scale. This is the Mark 12, but they're also with the clipped wing, which allowed greater maneuverability at lower altitudes. But this is also coming out with. They're also putting a V1 Buzz flying bomb in the kit.
Yeah, I love the cover here on the box art.
Yeah, the box art's great. So what it features is, what would happen was the Spitfires, the Mark 12s and later were fast enough that they could catch up to these things in a dive.
Yeah, they had the bigger engine, right?
They had the bigger engine.
They had not the Merlin.
I don't know if they had the
other
Griffin.
one.
I don't know if they went to the Griffin by then or not. Because if I say that wrong, I'm going to have someone.
Somebody will correct it. But the Griffin was the bigger.
Was the bigger version of the Merlin from
Rolls
Rolls-Royce, the later edition.
Gave it the speed.
Yeah. So basically, these would catch up and they try and shoot them down. Well, if they ran out of ammo, some pilots would resort to coming alongside to one of these because these are unmanned flying bombs, and by using their wing to tip it over, it would screw up the gyro and then they detonate. Because the idea is they want these things to detonate in the country before it hit London.
Yeah.
Right. So you'd save more
They'd
lives.
knock it off of course, or
and it would basically the gyro would screw up and it would go upside down and just go into the ground. Yeah. So this box art, this box art is actually showing one of those maneuvers in progress.
And we were talking about just the ingenuity of the problem solving of those pilots at that time.
Oh yeah,
come up with that solution, right? Like,
well, and again,
England.
we've talked about in the past on how they would deal with the problems like the Mark 9 to deal with the 190 and stuff like that. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, the Mark 12 was the first one powered by a Griffin engine.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but they would have mixes in that. But yeah, they're both one of Rolls-Royce's finer products. So that's good from Special Hobbies. They're the ones we feature them before they're coming out with the Night Fighter Meteors, the Meteor Jet Night Fighters.
Yeah.
As well, we featured them as well recently. So, okay, moving on. You got some Gundam stuff.
Yeah, I thought this
talk about this.
I love this. This is great. So there's there was a really neat series of Gundam kits that came out, I think maybe 89 or 90.
Okay.
And it was called Formula 90. And I believe it was maybe a manga series, but it got its own series of model kits. And I pulled one out. So this is like the vintage.
Yes, I see you pulled one
89
out.
kit, right? But
okay.
it's getting a brand new master grade treatment. So it's a new toolkit, 1/100 scale, and the old one was 1/100 scale too. And this is great, except for it's going to be a P Bondi, and I know we've mentioned before the premium Bondi kits were kind of like these. They would do a run of variants.
Okay.
So lots of variants, low production numbers, and kind of for the home market.
Okay.
So like Japan only releases, right? But I hear we did sort of stumble on something that they might be starting to do international shipping. So if you want a P Bondi kit, you'd have to, because there's a variation or something that you're really interested, you're paying a lot more on eBay or some kind of secondary marketplace, Amazon secondary seller, where you're paying a premium price.
Now, what scale? Now, will it be the same scale as this one?
that kit was 1/100.
Right.
Yeah.
So the reissue, will it be the same scale?
It is, yeah, because
Okay.
the master grade is
The master grade is always
1/100 scale. But I love this. This was a really cool kind of series. It was like they tie it into the story, which I've never read. I've never come across it, but I think the model kits are great. It was like a space-based kind of fighter, and they had these mission packs. So that the one you're holding was like the F-92L with the L type.
Range. He's got like a very long range,
very
gun with a very, very long barrel.
Yeah.
So either that or he uses it for like picking apples off the tree.
Yeah. So with some kind of like sort of attack, assault type, like heavy weapons,
Right.
Style.
Right.
And I just thought it was great.
That's
I was
pretty
looking
cool.
forward to
I have
building
to admit,
it.
yeah, that's a neat looking one.
And they have these different. So they have the mobile suit kind of frame, and then they would put different like
Weapon
mission packs on it. And so this new series
Right.
is called the F90 A to Z project. So they're doing all the different mission specific packs.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So
this
you know
is-
what?
this
And
is
just like
fantastic.
Pokemon, you're gonna have to get them all.
You know what? I'd like to get even
Oh,
one
I know.
of them.
I know. That's pretty cool though.
They look
Yeah.
great. Like they've corrected a bit of the like the proportions and like the shaping to be more accurate to the
Right.
the
Okay.
design. So I think that's a really cool release. That definitely looks
So
awesome.
apparently it's scheduled for March 2020 shipping.
Yeah.
You can do a reserve. Price is going to be 2,200 yen.
So that's
taxing.
not a bad price. I wonder if that is like that's a low.
Is that a good
I
price?
would say that's about $30.
Okay.
So that's actually pretty reasonable for
Oh
that
yeah, that's
scale.
further down on the link we're going to provide. I see
Yeah.
you got the thing with like the missile variation.
I wonder if
and
it's
the beam
just the
shield
mission
and-
pack. That's 2,200 yen. I'm not
Nope.
sure.
Setcon. Oh wait a minute. Yeah, sorry, that is the mission pack. My apologies.
Yeah.
F90 mission pack B type and K type.
So I'm guessing that I think the F90 has been released in the P Bandai format.
So this is just the mission packs
Yeah.
they're announcing.
Which
okay.
is again not bad. That might be a $50 kit.
Okay.
5,000 yen maybe, but so they're doing these different versions, like kind of mission specific. I don't know. I thought it was pretty. It's cool. It's a little bit obscure, so it's kind of nice to see that something older is getting a little bit of love. Because I'm sort of an old
You
old
like, hey,
fanboy,
nothing
right?
wrong,
An old school
nothing wrong with
fanboy.
that.
So
Nothing
that's
wrong
awesome.
with that. Looks like I'm just trying to find it here. Looks like it may have come out in August.
Yes. So
Yeah.
the F90 came.
Here we
out.
go, 4,400 yen. The
Okay.
Master Grade 1/100th Gundam F90, release date August 2019, price 4,400 yen.
Okay, so that's like let's say $50 to $55 or
Even
so.
that looks badass on his own.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to have that. That's awesome. But I've got the old schooly one, and I think it
so
looks
there you
not
go.
too bad.
It looks great. I'm looking at this box here. I've taken a
Yeah.
picture of it. We'll throw it up in the gallery. And no, that looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it's just a neat. That was a really neat
See,
idea.
this is Anthony trying to get me to build more. I'm convinced.
You
It's
can
all
build
a
this one.
it's all a scheme. What does it come with? So this one, the original kit, the one that was in August, comes with a beam rifle, a shield, a beam saber.
Yeah, so kind of standard armaments for mobile
yeah.
suit.
I like this. I like the shield on this one. It looks very, very kind of military and utilitarian and kicks ass.
Yeah.
I saw in the kit the mission packs. He's got like what looks like a pink or red. Is it like a shield? But it's
Okay,
like
so
semi-
it's like it's a beam. It's
the
a beam
beam
shield,
right?
So they're trying to replicate that with like a clear plastic with wavy.
So this would be like an electronic,
Yeah,
like
yes.
Shield Star Trek,
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha,
Like an
gotcha.
energy beam.
an energy shield.
Shield.
So that's
right?
what they're doing. Okay, that's what I thought. See, this is why I asked these questions.
Yeah.
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So no, again,
Looks like there's an EWAC pack like that.
Yeah.
So back in the maybe early '90s when they did the F90 series,
Mm-hmm.
there was this long range one, the F92. There was there was 3 different versions, I
Mm-hmm.
think. There was one that had like a really cool Gatling gun. I think it was meant to be. This was like a long range sniper type. There was like a heavy weapons, and there's another one of these weird like flying attachments.
Right,
Look like
right.
fins. And I'm not sure if it was meant to be like a faster.
yeah. I just added the link from Bandai itself.
Cool.
I just added to the show notes and
But
it
here,
talks about it. Yeah.
I think they're with this project A to Z. I think they're expanding the number of packs. I see an EWAC version, which looks amazing. I'm doing a
Oh, this
little
is
bit.
cool. They have a mission pack simulator on their website. So you can actually dress this thing up, I guess.
Oh man, cool.
And if you wanted an E-type, an F-type, an M-type,
Yep.
how
Love
cool
it.
is that?
That's awesome.
Oh,
eh?
yeah, look at that. They see the little armor snaps off and snaps back on.
Yeah. It's the same
Whoa.
mobile suit.
I like the M-type, the missiles. Holy cow.
Yeah, customized. To,
Yeah, this is kind of cool.
that's neat, eh?
Yeah, that's very
Look at
cool.
the
So
Bandai.
obviously a popular release. Ooh, the S-type. There's your Gatling guns.
Is it on the hip?
Looks like on the arms and on the hips and.
Oh yeah, that's sort of like a heavy weapon
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just I thought it was
Well,
great.
he's also got a tripod that he puts down behind so the
Yes.
recoil doesn't knock him over.
Yeah, so it's which is kind of interesting because I always thought this was like a space based space type mobile
sometimes
suit.
you're on the
So,
surface of a planet, you got to kick some ass,
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I've added the link to that, the
That's kinda
F98Z from Gundam's site, and yeah, that looks pretty cool. So yeah, now I see some of the variations of that. So that's pretty cool.
loads of them, right? So
Yeah.
there's different.
guys
It's quite interesting. There's a whole story.
We talk about the whole market, how big the market is over there. And,
Oh yeah. Well, I love that there. Oh man, there's so many types. There really is. There is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Here's the variations. There really are variations A to Z.
Please send money to care of Anthony Goodman.
Man. Yeah. So okay, here I'll just give you a quick little taste of
go
this,
for
right?
it.
You guys can fill in the alphabets. Assault type, bombard type, cold type, destroy type, electronic type, fight type. I wonder if they meant flight type. Guard type, hover type, intercept, jacket, long range, marine, officer, reconnaissance type, support. Oh, who even?
You got one for X?
X is extra type,
Extra type?
extra fabulous, right?
They couldn't figure one out there.
I don't know. Like some of these are not really.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, and then there's the F92, which is that one.
Right.
And there was an interceptor and a long range. This is the long
This
range.
is the long
type.
range type
Yeah.
you've got there, yeah.
So these guys are so productive. I love it.
Awesomeness.
That's great.
Awesomeness. All right. Well,
What's next?
Let's move on with our good friends at ScaleMates and their hot kits. And again, no real surprises. Obviously, the Avro Vulcan, 172nd from Airfix, the Lightning, the Tamiya Lightning, the Sherman Firefly. I know a lot of people have talked about this. And
The
135th
Ryfield.
from
Did we
Ryfield.
discuss that
we
one?
really didn't discuss it.
Maybe we should go back and look and see what's in the box.
I'll have to go back and look at that one. But I
'Cause
know
there's a lot
people
of
talking
Shermans,
about it.
so-
But this is the Firefly.
Yes.
This is the one with the extra big gun.
The 75mm howitzer.
Yeah. This would have been like the 17 pound or whatever. They had to put a thing on the back end. I built a very old Dragon one, my first 135th kit, and I was told, that was the exact one you should not have started with.
Oh,
because the tracks were
complicated?
no. This was the tracks. They were horrible. Individual link, and they were horrible.
Hard to do, or
Yeah, they were horrible. The AMK Tomcat. Here's the Ford GT from Ming. We talked about that.
The Buccaneer.
Yeah, a 148 kinetic chain sparks for the Harrier GR1. Some Russian stuff.
Oh, the Jumbo. There's the Mung M4A3E2 Jumbo. That's the one that had the 75mm.
Yeah,
cannon
that is the
on
bigger
it.
one in it. Of course, Revell, their Spitfire from Iron Maiden, Aces High, for the 35th anniversary of the band. Edwards Mustang, of course, all sorts of goodies here.
All
Yeah,
sorts of
there's
goodies.
Sylvester's Hind.
The Chattanooga Choo Choo's still on there.
Oh
right?
yeah, very, very popular kit. Academy came out with a new tool F14A in 172nd. I know our colleagues at Fine Scale Modelers,
Yes.
Aaron and Elizabeth, they just released their latest of their review show,
Okay.
and they featured that one too.
Right on.
Looked like a nice looking kit. So yeah, all sorts of goodies. Never a shortage, including
That's
the
for sure.
Land Rover station wagon, the Series
Yep.
3. That eventually I think will be in the stash at some point.
Awesome.
A Bugatti Vision Gran Turismo, 124 scale. Looks very expensive. As most things are
Sure
from
does.
Bugatti.
Yeah.
The oil change is probably more than I make in a year.
Yeah, I bet.
We'll just leave it with that. All right. So that is the news. That's all the news that's fit to print, etc., with one more exception. What's the scoop?
What's the scoop?
Yeah, I was on a couple of forums, and someone, Large Scale Planes is always a good one. There's one shop now. It's only one shop so far,
One shop.
but they have a issue saying a coming soon. Tamiya may be coming out with a big 132nd F-51D from the Korean War. So
It's a scoop.
They changed the names from P for Pursuit to F just after the
For
war.
fighter.
Yeah. Originally P was Pursuit.
I didn't know
That's
that.
what happened just after the war. So this is apparently, going to be not much information, but if you like your P-51s or your F-51s...
Don't you say people love that.
1/32 scale.
Cool.
So there's some people talking about it there. Again, not a lot of information.
We'll see what happens.
But we'll have to see what happens. Yeah, a Lucky Model has it.
Okay.
Has the link. So again, we'll have to see what happens. And of course, some people are saying, "Oh, it's just going to be a reissue or something like that." But you never know. These, I always remember these also served in like the Air National Guard in the early days of the Air Force.
Oh wow.
In both Mexico and the U.S. and they served for a long time.
Yeah. Reliable workhorse of a plane, wasn't it?
It was very reliable, and they built a ton of them, and they're still used today as air racers. You still find quite a few around.
Yeah.
Still, I don't know how many hundreds.
I know. I've seen a couple at air shows.
Yeah, you always see those, but they also use them for air racing.
Cool.
Out in the desert and all that. You soup up the engine and you go round and round and round, and hope.
Pretty cool.
As long as takeoffs and landings equal the same. That's the secret to piloting, I tell people.
Yeah.
As long as takeoffs and landings are the same, you're doing fine.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's our final news. So let's talk a little bit about Goodman models and super sanding blocks.
Yeah. Well,
Tell us what's going on.
I'm back full swing. I got lots in stock. You can visit Goodman Models and pick up a set.
I have to admit, I did sneak into the warehouse
Yes.
at Goodman Industries, and it reminded me of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You've got
piles.
It's either that or it's your stash. I'm not sure, but I thought it was the boxes of
bricks.
stacks and stacks and stacks of
Yes.
super sanding blocks.
Yeah, so
Ready to ship.
I'm back in stock. I've got lots of value packs ready to go,
Good.
and I think it's wintertime now. It's cooling off in at least the northern hemisphere, so
It's
people
getting
tend
cold,
to get into their project, and you need some good tools so you can get those results that you want, and you want to be able to sand with precision. Then you should check out the super sanding blocks. You can get a single if you want to try out something.
Yeah.
And actually, I do recommend if people are not sure about it and they don't want to buy the full Monty, try a 320 super sanding single.
Good average, right in the middle, and
It might be that, and the 220 actually might be my favorites that I use the most.
Those are the ones I tend to reach for too. Yeah, they get the most use.
I like all of them, and I do use them all, and they kind of have their uses. But certainly, if you're building and you want to give it a shot, grab a super sanding single. They're also in stock on the website, and still you're able to find those at flexifile.com, at Wheels and Wings in Toronto, Section 8 in Buffalo, and a couple other places as well.
All fine places.
Yeah.
We also recently did a video. I don't know if you've posted. You're going to post it soon on cleaning.
I did. It is posted. I got to add it to the website, but it is.
So it's posted. Yeah, I just cleaned mine the other night.
Excellent.
With the toothbrush, a little bit of toothbrush,
Yeah,
a little bit of water, and a toothbrush, and
brush them out.
they get used. It's always on my desk.
Yeah, and I've been doing the. We talked a little bit about the Patreon series that's coming out, where we're doing the resin Valkyrie kit, and of course I'm using them a ton.
You're going to be seeing it there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm using them a ton, and you will kind of see where you can use them to straighten out edges and to clean up bits of resin
And you know what? We feature them as Patreon gifts and that. And we should remind those of you who've won some.
That's right.
We're going to give you a little nag. We really want to see a picture.
Yes, if you've won a prize, send us a picture.
Send us a picture of either you and the sanding block, or if you think you don't have a face for a picture, then the sanding block on your workbench.
Yeah.
Or
your project.
Or your project or whatever. Because, we understand. I like to say I have a face for radio. It's an old joke, but there you go. So good stuff.
Oldie buddy goodie. Yes.
So what's the website again?
GoodmanModels.com.
And we're also on Facebook.
That's right.
Awesome. Good stuff.
All right,
and
thanks.
we thank Goodman Models for their support.
And you're welcome.
There you go. Okay, on to a topic here. We have another interview.
Yeah.
We have an interview this week it's one I did a little while ago from Mike Basquette. Mike's in Louisville, or Louisville, that area of the world. Him and I traded some emails and stuff like that, and he was talking about that he calls himself the modeler that time forgot, because we had talked about it in an episode a little while ago. So he emailed me and he said he wanted to offer up the story of a modeler who was quite fully invested for a long time, then nearly fully out and now calling back. So it was quite good. So he's based in actually Lexington, Kentucky. He started listening to the podcast a little while ago. He originally was a very avid 135th scale armor and HO scale model railroader. We have a lot of those.
Sure.
So he said changes to the hobby coupled with life events brought me to a grinding halt. And then he's currently in a resurgence. Podcasts like yours, along with YouTube, is giving me some much needed momentum.
Excellent.
One of your recent guests, Kim Taylor, gave me a fresh perspective on a few things that may have hindered me in the past. So it was really good. So I ended up having a nice chat with him, and I've got some pictures I'm going to post up as well. And he has some great work. He's also really into HO scale modeling.
Cool.
So he did this gorgeous HO scale caboose out of resin and molds and that.
Oh, wow.
And for a few years, he operated a cottage industry doing custom car runs. So
cool.
that's pretty cool as well. So we're
doing some advanced stuff there.
Yeah.
Really.
So we're gonna let you hear this interview with Mike right now.
Welcome back to the Scale Model Podcast in the interview section. And tonight we're doing the first of a series where we're just talking to, shall we say, ordinary modelers. None of us are really ordinary. And this gentleman here, definitely, if you see some pictures of his work, you would see he's far from ordinary. His name is Mike Besquet. He's from Lexington, Kentucky. And he reached out via email. He's also a member of the Military Modelers Club of Louisville. And so very avid. So basically, he reached out to us a little while ago via email. As basically coming back into the fold after an extended period of armchair modeling, dabbling, false starts. Prior to this, he was a very avid modeler with interest in 135th scale armor and HO scale model railroading. And basically, like many of us, changes in the hobby coupled with life events brought him to a grinding halt. So much so that he recently told a friend in the hobby that I was the, quote, modeler that time forgot, end quote. So recently he's in a resurgence, and he's listening to our podcast for a while, as well as YouTube. And when we had our interview with Kim Taylor, gave him some fresh perspective on a few things. So he reached out to us, and we were talking a little bit via email, and I thought this would be a good basis for a new series where we're going to talk to some people and find out some of their views and some of their things they found after being out of the hobby. So, Mike, welcome to the Scale Model Podcast.
Thank you very much, Stuart. I'm glad to participate.
Well, this is great. Yeah, and as I said, I think I've covered a lot there. You did send us some pictures, which, with your permission, we're gonna put up when we post this interview.
Cool.
Quite a wide variety of work, armor, some amazing stuff for HO scale. So let's just go way back when Mike was a wee thing. And when you first started the hobby, tell us what you first started with, and some stuff from there.
Okay, I got started in the hobby as a young, probably 7, 8, 9 years old, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I got a kit for Christmas. It was a Monogram B-24 Liberator, and I built it with my father.
Very cool.
Who was not a modeler. And it just kind of took off from there. I started doing them on my own after that. And I built mostly 48th and 72nd scale aircraft for a while.
Right.
As a youngster, and somewhere along the path. Well, I know when it was. We were going on vacation one year, and we always had this pancake house we stopped at for breakfast early in the journey, and they had a big newsstand there, and I picked up a copy of the old Military Modeler magazine, not the British magazine, but the U.S. magazine, yep. Military Modeler, and saw this 35th scale armor in it, and the figures and the dioramas, and I decided I'd like to give that a shot. So I started building armor from almost that point forward, and I was probably a young teenager at that time, 13 maybe, and built all through my school years. Everybody's got the girls and cars story. I had a little bit of that, but I kept going all through high school.
Okay. And
even into college, and after college, still in the early '90s, I was my really avid years up to about 2000. So I got started. I never really quit through those years.
All right.
I always found time for it.
Okay. And then you also have an interest in HO scale because you did send some pictures of that. Have you always
Yeah.
been interested in HO model railroading?
I had model trains when I was young as well. We had a room in the house that we had a small layout set up for a while. I did get out of that for an extended period of time, and I got back into that probably. Well, and I started doing the custom railroad cars. That kind of came from getting back into railroading probably in the late '90s,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was painting a lot of cars, doing a lot of decaling, very specific to one particular railroad from the region of the country I'm originally from,
Right.
and just never really got into the model railroad. I always called myself a railroad modeler, not a model railroader.
Yep,
I never had a
understood.
railroad.
Right. No, and you know what? You're not the only one who's like that. Believe me.
And it was all building specific equipment to a particular road with the intent to someday having a
Right.
layout. But we ended up moving houses, and the new place wasn't quite as conducive as the old for some of that,
Right.
and it was just one of those too many hobbies kind of deals.
Yep.
So I kind of divested of that. I still have a little bit that I still dabble in every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for something new to mess around with. But no, that's kind of gone by the wayside now. But I was really, I was in the National Model Railroad Association. We have a local division here in
Yeah.
Lexington. Was a big part of. Did a lot of clinics and things like that on
Right.
painting and detailing. So it was
Right.
all the modeling, the scale modeling, and the technical aspect of it was what my primary involvement.
Well, and I think the thing I find is it is amazing on how many people are into both hobbies. And sometimes that surprises people, but it doesn't surprise me at all because there's a lot of techniques that are common to both hobbies. And, you were talking about like the small cottage industry and stuff like that. And, our co-host Anthony, this is exactly what he does. And, thanks these days to the internet and stuff like that, you can do that and specialize in that. So,
Oh yeah, makes it a lot easier.
hmm So then you started. So you kind of kept it up all through, and then when did you really kind of realize that, particularly on the model kit building side, is when you realize that wow, a lot has changed.
I know exactly when it was.
Right.
Again, it's pretty fresh and burned into my mind. I was during my really prolific time. I was involved in amps as well as the IPMS
Yes.
side of things.
Yes.
And I went to, I think, every AMPS national convention from the inception until probably 2002 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then I maybe only been to 2 since then.
Okay.
So what happened was the thing that started the snowball down the hill of despair, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
was I had built a kit with a lot of scratch building, a lot of aftermarket, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And what it was the Soviet Su-76 self-propelled gun,
Yes.
the little open-top vehicle they built off the T-70, T-60 kind of platform.
Right.
And it was the kit. It was one of the first full kits that came out of Russia after the end of the Cold War, after the Iron Curtain fell,
Mm-hmm.
from Allen Hobbies, and it was just atrocious. It was really horrible, and I used about 15% of the kit. It's the one I sent a picture of, the finished model.
Yeah. Now look,
Yeah.
it looks good to me.
I'm amazed I even built it. I look at the in-progress photos still to this day and like,
Yeah.
how did I ever do that? Well, hopefully we'll get there again. But back to this story. That model won best Russian vehicle at the AMPS National Convention in 2002 or 3. I
Right.
can't remember.
All right.
And based on the feedback from the judges, which is a big part of that system,
Mm-hmm.
it was damn close to winning the whole
The whole
Kit
thing.
and caboodle.
Best of show. Yeah.
best of show at AMPS. And that would have been the holy grail, right?
Right.
Armor model. the model that won was a equally modified and improved Tamiya T-72 Soviet main battle tank, and I believe it was built by Charlie Pritchett. I don't know if you know who he is.
I've heard the name. I know Anthony's mentioned him a few times.
Very, very good modeler. It was just excellent. And the thing that was different about that build, I think it was his, but I'm not certain. But it doesn't really matter. There were all those photos from the first Gulf War, those Soviet or those Iraqi tanks, and that's what this had been done as.
Right.
With all the, not just chipping paint, but peeling paint, just all sand paint peeling off the turret and hull sides of this green tank, and it was absolutely stunning. And I looked at that, and it was like a quantum leap. And for someone like me who had been practiced and gotten to where I was using the Shepherd Payne, Francois Verlinden, paint, wash, dry brush, and that was it, right? And that's just the way you did it,
right?
Until then, and that and then all the stuff coming out at that time, Miguel Jimenez was just starting to show up, and some of the more prolific North American modelers were trying to emulate what he was doing. It all just changed. And my build rate, I'm a very serial builder.
Right.
One at a time, and when I hit a roadblock, I wait and think it through, and typically don't even work on anything else on that model. I get past it. So you can imagine what it would take to get my finishing skills up to this new level. And I basically quit, I guess.
It's something I've heard before, because would you consider yourself a very competitive person?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I think that's a natural that's a natural trait. There's people in the hobby that love doing that. So yeah, there's certainly nothing wrong with that.
I've heard you guys talk about the IPMS system versus AMPS. Anthony's talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah, we both have.
Podcast. Yeah. And I agree with it. I like them both.
Yeah.
I really like what AMPS was doing. I guess they still do it. But once you get past the gold, silver, bronze in the AMPS system, once you get past those awards in the intermediate, advanced, and beginners categories, the best ofs and all that, even on the AMPS system, is competitive, just like the IPMS is.
Is it like that? Yeah, that's what I was. That's what I figured.
It's yours versus his. It's not how well was it done. It's the best of the entries judged by the judges again. I'm not exactly sure how they pick them, but it's a lot more subjective at that point, in my opinion.
Right.
At least my understanding.
Yeah, no, and I think we've mentioned it too, and that's the thing. I found it interesting in that, I think we mentioned it last episode of the podcast, that I was surprised on how close the result was on that little survey IPMS in the U.S. put out for judging standards, and I think there is a change happening. I've let it be known what my preferred way is. I like the way AMPS does it. But again, I also say that with that, I'm not a competitive modeler. So it's always interesting to hear how other people did. So, all right. So you decided to kind of take a pause for a while. And then what made you decide to come back?
I would never say I left completely, because a lot of stuff happened about that same time. I was married in that time, and then the family came along after that.
Yep.
All great stuff. Wonderful things, but the time just wasn't there.
Right.
And once you're not going to the bench, it gets easier to not go to the bench. It's like exercise.
Understood. I believe me, I understand that completely.
Once you stop, it's hard to start.
Yeah.
But I was always going to the occasional show. I was still buying stuff right and left. Still reading the magazines, and then still, YouTube and all that has come along in that time as well.
Right.
But I just really started missing it. Not just the shows and the actual building, but the whole, I wouldn't call it a lifestyle, but the
Mhm.
whole the gang, the guys in the club,
Yeah,
and
the whole community aspect.
the whole modeling community, I
Right.
started to miss greatly because I was so invested with it before,
Yep.
and my kids are older now, and it's a little easier to get some bench time in, and I've really started trying to make that happen, and I'm being successful, and things are moving again, and I'm having a lot of fun. I went to a show up in Cincinnati about 2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
had a great time. So I missed it, and it's something I enjoyed so much to not have it anymore that I missed it, and I wanted to come back, do it again.
Awesome. Awesome. But no,
So
like I said,
hopefully I'll have a new perspective maybe. And
yeah.
we'll see if that sticks.
Well, and this is the thing that's interesting, and it's something I've noticed, and I see it, in my club and throughout. You do tend to have, and there's probably more than two schools, and Anthony and I have talked about this, but you have what I call competitive modelers and non-competitive modelers, and it's just two different ways to approach the hobby. There's right ways and there's wrong ways, and there's but in this case they're both good because it's whatever you want to do that works for you. And I think it's funny. I've been reading some posts lately about there is so much stuff now out there, so much aftermarket, so many different painting techniques. Like I look at when we announce things for the podcast, how many different weathering materials and stuff like that, particularly we're seeing out of Europe, that there is, and it's like, yeah, people say the hobby's dying. There's no such thing. But it is interesting how there's still something to be said, and I subscribe to a lot of Facebook groups, and one of them, for example, is the old Monogram group or the old Airfix Classic groups and that. And you've got a lot of people in there that are just building stuff and they love doing it. It doesn't matter if it's not, perfect or whatever. And that's
Sure.
that's what it comes down to. It's a hobby and what you do with it. And yeah, definitely, I can see the perspective of what you're saying. And I know Anthony and I have debated, like I said, we debated quite a bit over the judging, like his new Aliens APC. He's really hoping that does well in next season's shows because he's really worked hard and it's an absolutely gorgeous thing. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. So yeah, I just wanted to go through some of these builds. Like I say, you mentioned the Allen models, the SU-76. That looks, I love the look of that. The weathering you've used there, definitely. And then you've got the Dragonsturm Infantry, and I'm even going to try and pronounce that, Gersh 33.
Sturm Infantry Geschütz 33.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the most recent armor model I've finished, and that was I think I mentioned that in the email.
Yeah,
but that's
about 10 years ago. Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah, but you know what? Like I say, they talk about old school, no school looks really good. You've got the Stug 3. Yep, the old original 90s. I've got a pile of those. I've kind of gotten into armor a little bit. I mostly build aircraft, but I've picked up over the last couple of years a lot of these old, Tamiya classic molds. The one that had the hole for the batteries.
Yes.
But again, for me, it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly looking. Like it goes together well, and I can weather it up, and yeah, that's really cool. And you have the aftermarket wheels and sprockets, lots of scratch building on there. Just as an aside, your figures look great. It's something I'm still trying to work on.
Well, I'm glad you think so. That's an area that I always thought I can improve on. So
it's challenging. And then you've got the Mini Art ZIS-2 anti-tank gun.
Yes.
You'll be priming and painting that soon. That's going to look nice. Do you have an idea for a diorama for that?
Yeah, that's just going to go into a simple shallow emplacement. You can't dig an anti-tank gun very deep because they don't sit very high off the ground to begin with.
Exactly. And they got to shoot outwards.
Yeah, I've got a little revetment plan for that. In fact, I've got the foam cut already for that one.
Awesome. That'll be cool. Yeah, those ones are always neat. It's an area I don't have any kits of, but it's something at some point I'll pick up something like that. Actually, no, I've got the Tamiya, the classic Tamiya Flak 88. That's about all I've got right now. But I like these. I like these smaller ones too. And then you've got a couple of gaming miniatures, and they look just awesome. And you were saying, the interview we had with Kim Taylor really resonated with you. What about it?
She more than touched on it. She talked quite a bit about the modeling for yourself, and to kind of drop the shackles of the competitive side of things and just go with it. And it just made a lot of sense where I was in the hobby. That, yeah, I get that, because I'd started these fantasy miniatures again, before that interview, before I heard that, and I just it serves two purposes. One, you're building for yourself. You don't have to.
Yep.
You're not. Well, it's a fantasy subject too, so you're not really bound by much.
Exactly.
Of anything.
That's why I love building sci-fi. The rivet counters can't complain.
And the other thing it does is it keeps your hands and eyes moving, because when you don't do something for a long time, your skills atrophy.
Exactly.
So, and I use a lot of like Vallejo acrylics on those, and I'm just learning to reuse them like I was before.
Yep.
And just have some fun with it and seeing what I can do with them on that kind of.
I love the Vallejo. The Vallejo does a really nice job. Yeah.
And it just. There's no constraint, and then I've got hundreds of those things to practice on.
Awesome. Well, that's what's kind of nice, and as I said, that's why I'm kind of building this little Bandai Super Star Destroyer before I move on something else, something simple. And yeah, I have a few figures too. At some point, I'm going to get back into as well. But yeah, I love some of the stuff, the miniature people and stuff like that on. Okay, then we got into a couple of pictures of this really awesome HO scale caboose. So this is a prototype specific to the Clinchfield Railroad. Only the roofs and floor from the kit. The rest is scratch and resin from the masters and molds. Yeah. So like I said, I know quite a few people that do different molding and stuff like that. So I recognize some of these. But again, this is just gorgeous. I love what you've done from the way the whole wood effect. On the sides.
That's still unfinished. It just needs to be painted. So maybe I need to get that one on the bench.
That's pretty nice. Well, and I always tell, too, is, 187 scale isn't that far off. You could always, throw something in a diorama, force perspective or something. That's what I keep telling myself. I got a bunch of, 187 buildings and stuff like that over the years. And I always say, at some point I'll build a slightly bigger diorama and do some force perspective and stuff like that. So, and then last but not least, you got your workbench, which is awesome. This was built by your late grandfather.
Yeah.
And it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's a little spot for everything. Nice to see.
It's been moved around quite a bit. We even had to modify it to make it a little easier to move. The upright on the back had to be taken off. It used to be one big piece.
Oh yeah. We're all getting older. We don't want to be moving that stuff.
Well, we did this a long time ago. My dad and I moved it when I was in college once, and I had a apartment with a really tight, staircase reversed with a landing in the middle, and we finally got it in. He thought he was going to have to haul it back to Tennessee or from originally.
He's probably going, no bloody way. And
when I moved back home for summer or Christmas or something, we took it back to my grandfather, and he cut the bookcase top off of it right at the bench height level.
Oh, that's good. So you can just no, it's great.
Makes it a lot easier to move now.
Yep, you got your power bar. You have your official Daddy's brushes cup that one of your kids, I assume, made for you.
Yes.
Well, that's
sure
good.
A lot of people have one of those.
Oh yeah, well, because that way, because you don't want to confuse that with your cup of coffee.
That's right.
Your stuff like that, and you have some mission model stuff there, I see. And how have you been finding the mission models paint?
Those tools I have, I'm not sure they even make anymore, but it's some chisels and things that I really like. I use those, not a lot, but when I need them, they always get the job done.
Right. Yeah. No, I recognize I have a few tools like that. As I was saying, I see you've got some mission models paints there.
Yes, that is the result of one of your interviews.
Yeah. And how are you finding it?
It's good stuff. I was having to think for a minute if I'd used it yet, but I have used it yet. Right. I have used it. I've test sprayed it. I haven't used it on a model yet.
Yeah, just playing around with it.
Just a paint mule. I bought that.
Yep.
After hearing his interview.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good stuff. I've got to get the next show I got to get to. I got to get some, but yeah, pretty well. Your paint selection is pretty similar to mine. Some Tamiya, some Vallejo, the Styrene primer. I see you got some MIG products there. Yeah, pretty well, pretty well similar. And it comes down to whatever basically works. So exactly. So what else have you found lately that you've gotten back in the hobby? Like I was touching on. There's an absolute ton of aftermarket. There's a ton of different ways. We've talked about the judging system and stuff like that. Do you want to go into what system you kind of prefer, or do you kind of like elements of both, or because again, it seems to be something that at least in IPMS USA it seems to be talked about a lot. I know Amps, they're quite happy with the way they're doing it. Do you have any comments about judging systems or judging styles?
I like them both because when I was participating in both, I went into each with a different kind of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The IPMS, I think, for the local shows, the invitational shows, it just makes it running the show easier, and it makes the number of awards the clubs have to procure.
Yeah, exactly.
To be a little more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that part of it because we have a show in Louisville every year.
Oh yeah,
I've seen all that firsthand.
Okay.
And the Amps system, though, you're really giving everybody a fair shake. Whereas, I was chief judge for our IPMS show for a number of years, and I know how that works.
Right.
And a lot of times, you can be out there and you can narrow it down to 5 out of 40 in about 8 seconds.
Right. Yeah. And I've heard basically, and it's interesting you say that, because it was almost the exact same words when we had the contest judge from Model Wonderfest. So
yes.
yeah, I've heard exactly the same thing. Yeah.
And that makes for expediency, but to the other side of it, not everybody's getting a good look. Maybe some of the show participants are looking at everybody's stuff, but the judges are going through. They're trying to narrow it down as quick as possible.
Right.
The AMP system, it gives everybody a look, and then everything that's getting looked at, the builder, the entrant has placed it in a category at some point based on their perception of their skills, and I think you win. You can move up and go from intermediate to advanced if you win a lot of golds in intermediate.
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong about that. It seems that's the way I recall it working. But for golds and silvers and bronze in the general categories, everybody got a look. Everybody got comments. It's just a real nice way to get feedback and to meet people. It's a lot more conducive to that because you can talk to the judges a lot easier, I think.
Right.
You've got something to talk about other than why didn't I win, as opposed to the others, and you get that every now and then.
Yeah, you do.
The 1, 2, 3 type judge. But then again, once you get to a level and you're maybe winning best German or best Russian or best American or best figure, and then you're that's getting pulled from the gold, so it gets a little more subjective. So there's still a little bit of competition there, a lot, I guess.
Right.
For the more prolific guys and the folks are turning out the really, really super stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you get a little bit of both at Amps, but I don't know that I have a preference, to be honest.
Okay.
I think
there's nothing wrong with that.
They're both have their place.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you're not the only one I've heard say that. I think Anthony's kind of said the same thing, and it's interesting the point you make about it didn't really occur to me about when they have the gold, silver, bronze for Amps, but then when they're deciding best in show and stuff like that, they have to go back to a more subjective one. So that's going to make me give some thought to that. Okay. Also, is there any other good websites or references online that you really like and use, or anything you can recommend?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mostly the ones I made some notes prior to this. The YouTube channel,
Yep.
his handle's Night Shift.
Mm-hmm.
And just a really good. His video productions are really good,
Yep.
and he's funny, and his techniques.
He is. Yep. I've
spot
watched
on,
him. Yep.
and he's very good. There's another one called Plasmo.
Yes. Yep.
I like that one because he builds not entirely, but a lot of smaller scale stuff, and it's just neat to watch what he does with a block of foam for a base, and it's giving me a lot of ideas for what I'm about to do with this anti-tank gun.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking back to some of his stuff, and yeah, he likes the small stuff, and it's like I'm always amazed. I remember once I came into his channel and it was like I thought for sure it was a 135th, but no, it was a 172nd. Like, you know, it's like wow.
And I like Will Pattison.
Yeah, Will's an interesting character. I want to get him on the show sometime. Yeah.
I think
he's a character.
I'm an engineer by vocation, like he is.
Oh, okay. So that explains it.
I can understand where he's coming from a lot, and you know, a lot of his videos are long.
Yeah.
But there's not much left to guess after he's run something through the ringer.
Yeah, very much so. People, you know, again, he's a character, but he knows his stuff. Basically, and he does some amazing stuff. Yeah, our friends on the bench had him on a while back.
I heard that one. Yeah,
I'm gonna try and get him on ours too.
He's a funny guy.
Oh, he is. He is.
I'm trying to think of some. You know, there's some reference sites. I don't remember them all. There's a French. I want to say it's just Charge Francais or something like that.
Right.
It's a French tank website that is.
Well,
none.
If you remember, by the time before we go to air, you can always send me an email, and we'll definitely include that.
Okay,
that in the
I'll
links.
do that.
And, yeah, I know.
I'm sure if I play around a little bit, I can find it.
Oh yeah, no worries at all. So, okay, we're reaching near the end. So, one of the things I always ask our guests is, and we keep it as general as possible. I know we've been talking about it a little bit, but what do you see the state of the hobby in, let's say, 5 or 10 years?
5 or 10 years. You know, it's amazing what's happened in the last 5 or 10.
Oh yeah. That's why I like asking it, because I don't have to answer it.
Oh, we'll probably have a couple more Asian companies pop up and release Tiger tanks.
Gee, yeah, you think?
Yeah.
Airfix will release a British subject.
Just the refinement's going to keep coming.
Right.
As it gets more affordable for those companies in that part of the world to do the type of molding that they're doing, even beyond. Mm-hmm. We're going to see more and more esoteric subjects kitted in plastic.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already seeing some. Gosh, I never thought I'd see that, much less have a choice of which one I wanted to buy.
I know. And again, it's just amazing some of the scales that some of these are coming out with, like monster scales.
Yes. And there's, personally, I hope there's a relief from some of this saturation in paint and aftermarket. I think we're starting to see it. There's a couple of companies I've seen go by the wayside. I don't wish that on anybody, but there's so many paints out there.
There's so many options, exactly.
So many weathering products. And, you know, I think a lot of that's driven by geography and and shipping regulations and that kind of thing. So, you know, the guys that are on the bench are I guess they're being supported or sponsored maybe by one of their own. There's an Australian paint company down there now. Mm-hmm. There's so many.
When I think you're right when you say geography plays a part. You look at like all the different ones coming out of Europe and that, but you know, Europe is so small. You know, it's like the east side of the U.S., right? It's, you know, shipping's not as bad and stuff like that. Where us in Canada and the U.S., you know, we can get it either from Europe or from the Far East, you know, and we've got a few companies now like Mission Models and that coming out with some product. But yeah, I agree. There seems to be a heck of a lot of product, and I can't see it all surviving.
The most amazing ones in recent years that basically it took exactly what it was. It took a a multimillionaire movie producer to start his own model company and start making these World War One airplanes.
Yep, exactly.
Wingnut Wings is just wow. I didn't see, even with the centennial of World War One. Just wow. Who would have thought there'd be that many?
Yep.
And that well done World War One aircraft kits in this day and age.
Well, and it always blows me away, and again, it shows that there's obviously a market for it. They keep selling them, and you look at how many different ones they have now, and the 48 scale World War II Lancaster. It's definitely a pleasant surprise. I have no room for it, but it's not 48, 32nd. Sorry. But yeah, and as you say, you talk about esoteric. I'm looking at some of the stuff like some of the different ideas. We're gonna, I just see now when I'm recording this, it's after the first day of IPMS UK in Telford, and a couple of companies there having some monster kit releases. Like someone's coming out with a 148 scale B-52, but now they've just announced they're gonna make a 1/32 cockpit section of the B-52, which is kind of similar to what Wingnut's done, which I think is a cool idea, because for people who don't have room to put a monster like that, like I'd have to put a whole new wing on the house, and I think the boss at home, I think she might have a bit of problem with that.
You're probably right.
Yeah,
we have tired of walking around it yourself.
Happy wife, happy life, as I'm sure you know. So
I'll just sit back and watch, not predict too much, and just watch it.
That's cool.
Because there's some subjects I'd like to see kitted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it will. I don't know.
Well, you never know. Exactly. They, I know some of the manufacturers now, they are listening to people. So if you ever get a chance and they say, what do you want to see built? Throw the idea in. You never know.
We're definitely in a golden age, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's just unreal what's out there.
Yeah. And I say both for the model kit industry and the model railway industry. I'm looking at all the different stuff, and I'm a little bit like you. I'm an armchair model railroader as well. So it's fascinating to watch that and the similarities between the hobbies. Okay, last but not least, what is currently on your bench?
Well, if I just turn to my right, I can see it. I am trying to finish a Trumpeter Soviet PT-76 amphibious tank.
Oh, neat.
Which the backstory on this one is, after, I had the model that beat me out at AMPS that year, and then I built that Sturm Infantry Geschütz 33, still kind of using my old techniques, and it was a good build, but I wasn't really satisfied with the way it turned out finish-wise, because I'd seen all this new stuff. So I built this thing out of the box, and it was basically to be a paint mule. Mm-hmm. But I wanted the finished model because I wanted to try everything on it, and it's just evolved. I've been working on that thing for like 10 years. It's been in a plastic tub, and I'm trying to get it done. It's getting close.
All right.
I hope to finish by the first week of December. That's my goal. I told a friend of mine in the club that he asked me when it was going to be done, because we talk a lot, and it's like, let's try Pearl Harbor Day. Maybe I can get it done by December.
Well, tell you what, if you get it done by then, you send me a picture with an email, and we'll throw it up in the episode notes, because we're probably going to be airing this around December, because we've got a couple interviews in the can and stuff like that. But yeah, that'll be great. So I really want to thank you for joining us tonight and reaching out via email. We love when we love when people do that, and some very interesting perspectives on the hobby. And like you say, you were out of it in a big way, and now you're coming back to it, and some of the new things. And again, you've got your work speaks for itself.
Thank you very much.
It's really really good.
One last thing is that Anthony keeps talking about Wonderfest, which is right down here in our backyard. In fact, our club has typically produced a few judges for that show over the years.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So if he comes down, maybe we can get something together.
All right. We'll have to make sure he reaches out. Yeah, I know. He really enjoys that. It's on my bucket list at some point. One day I'll make it down there. But yeah, no, he always looks forward to going down. And him and we have a couple of really avid sci-fi builders in our IPMS London chapter up here. And so they all have a lot of fun down there. And he usually tries to make it to AMPS and stuff like that. It's nice when AMPS was in Buffalo. It was just down the road from us. So it's a nice, easy drive for stuff like that. But definitely. All right. Well, again, Mike, once again, thank you for being on the show. And we're going to hopefully we'll get some good feedback. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out when this is posted, and we'll get those moved along. So thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
So as you can see, that Mike's a quite involved modeler. A lot of good skill sets.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that caboose. The detail he had with the wood framing and that.
Yeah, that was
just
something else.
Absolutely amazing. So
Nice
make sure when you go to scalemodelpodcast.com, you make sure you check out the gallery. We're going to post with that. Okay, on to talking tools. And this is what I'm surprised we hadn't covered before. But I look back and we have
so many
it.
good tools.
So we recently, at our last IPMS London show,
Yep.
we had master modeler Duncan McIntosh did a demo on masking. And it's up at ipmslondon.ca. Feel free to check that out on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But it made me think about Tamiya tape,
Perfect.
otherwise known as, what do they call it in Japan?
I don't know. I think they call it
Kabuki?
Tamiya tape.
No, but it's based on Kabuki.
Oh,
What's it called?
I think Kabuki tape is like
Kabuki is
another brand.
But it's very similar. That's what
Yes.
people say. But anyway,
Yeah.
Tamiya makes their own,
Oh yeah.
and it's wonderful.
Oh man, essential.
It's an essential skill how to mask.
Yes.
And
and you
Tamiya
need the
tape-
best tape.
Yeah, and Tamiya tape is worth its weight in gold. It just
Oh, yeah.
works. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than your traditional
But-
tape, but it works.
I feel like I feel like it's not that expensive.
No, neither do I.
Because
Because it takes forever. Yeah, and this is what I always say. It's like it'll last you a long time. They come in 4 or 5 different widths, and you can get refills for the dispenser. And yeah, it's something I use on every single build I make. No matter what, there'll be something that needs masking for airbrushing. And I know some people use it for when they use paint, like they use just regular paintbrushes.
Oh, wow.
They'll use it too because it does a good enough job. It comes out
Yeah.
without leaving the.
I find they have a little bit less adhesive on them, like a lower tack, but
Yeah.
it's got a nice fine.
It's got a nice thing. Now, one thing I've done, and I know some people do for masking canopies, I'll sometimes use it. And what some people will do is they'll actually put it down on their cutting mat.
Yeah.
And then cut it, and that takes a little bit more of the adhesive off. Or
Yeah.
they'll put it on their hand for a second.
I often put it on my pants.
Yeah, or
like,
your pants
quick,
or something, just to give
Yeah.
it one.
to take a bit of the bite out of it.
But it comes off completely. And I know other people use the Kabuki tape. It's a similar sort of concept.
I think the Kabuki tape is supposed to be like it's a rice paper.
But it's a similar idea,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I know some people say instead of using Tamiya, they'll use that because you can buy a lot more for a better price, like through Amazon
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yes.
I've bought. I think the last time I had to buy tape was like years ago. I just don't go through it enough to.
Yeah.
I
have a bunch of different. The nice thing about the
Widths, yeah.
Tamiya tape is that you have the different widths available, and it comes super fine.
Yeah.
And oh man, I use it all the time. All kinds of things.
Same
Yeah.
here. It's a fabulous product, and yeah, it's one of those ones we can't really say much more about it, but just
Get some. We'll
yeah,
say that.
if
about
you haven't
it.
tried it,
Yeah.
get some.
It's worth it.
You will thank us later.
I don't think you're gonna have a hard time finding it for more than a couple
No.
bucks a roll.
No, and you can
like
find
Stuart
it
said,
everywhere.
You're gonna
Yeah.
use it sort of over a period of
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah,
So
and
it's
you'll
kind
find
of
it
a no-brainer.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. At any fine modeling shop or purveyor of plastic
Exactly.
goods.
One thing I'll do is I often use the Tamiya tape if I'm doing like let's say complicated curves or something. I'll carve it in the tape on either side of the area I'm masking, and then I'll just put like regular paper in between. So like you don't have
Yes.
to use.
Yeah.
People can do whatever. Like I've seen people that mask the entire thing. That's cool too.
Yeah, see, I do the same thing as you. I will do all the fine stuff where I have a nice
The
edge
edges
that I want
and-
to
yep.
preserve with the Tamiya tape, and then I will use like a cheaper painter's tape for like just to cover larger areas.
Well, I won't
off.
even use the paper tape.
Yeah.
I'll just use like
Paper.
an actual piece of paper.
Yeah, me,
'Cause
I've done that
wanna,
too.
I don't want to pull up the paint below. Now, what other people
Yeah.
do is, and I've seen this for canopies.
Make like a tent
Yeah, that's
over
what
just to cover it off.
Yeah,
right?
I've seen for canopies, what people will do is they'll do the canopy, the frames along the edge in Tamiya tape,
Yeah.
and then they'll use like a liquid mask
Yes.
for the middle of it. Again, similar concept.
Interesting idea.
Yeah,
definitely. I've had more luck with. I gotta try some experiment with liquid mask a bit more. I have a couple different brands to try.
There's a couple of different ones. I have the Humbrol. I know Mr. Hobby makes one.
Yeah, I think I have that
very
one.
good. I think you've got that one.
Right here.
I'm trying to think of anyone who else makes one.
Mr. Masking Salt.
Yeah, Mr. Masking Salt. I don't think Tamiya makes one. Surprisingly enough.
I have a Hasegawa one.
Oh, really?
Masking liquid.
I didn't know they made that. Where'd you get that one?
Maybe from Japan.
Probably from Japan. It
Well,
survived the train. It survived the trip back over.
Yeah, I found all kinds of cool stuff, and I put it in boxes and mailed it back to myself.
The Humbrol liquid mask is one of the few. Again, no offense to Humbrol or Hornby, it's one of the few products I'll use that's, you put on as a finish or something like that from Humbrol. I heard too many stories about their dull coat horror stories, but the masking works pretty well.
Good. Yeah,
but it does go off after a while, though. That's
there's
the only problem.
A lot of things that you need the tape for you can't do with a mask.
And the other thing they recently reintroduced was it's a white curved masking tape.
Yeah, I have some of that.
It's even thinner and it works on curves. I've played with that a little bit. It's not bad.
Nice. Yeah, it lets you bend the curve.
It lets you bend the curve a little bit easier.
Right around it.
Yeah, so that's got its use as well. So.
Very cool.
So check those out.
Those are awesome.
Okay, what's on the bench? Well, between my wife breaking her leg and other
you have a new project
job
now.
hunting and all that, got a new project. I actually managed to get an hour or two on the Hawk.
Right on.
From Space 1999. I did put a video review up on my own website. I'll throw a link in
on blackfire.ca.
On blackfire.ca, I'll
awesome.
throw a link in with the photo gallery.
Yeah, it's nice to see what's in the box, right?
Yeah, it's very well. I've only done a little bit so far, literally, but the fit's been very good so far. Nice plastic, and have some fun with it. So
excellent.
That's where I've been on that. So
right on.
How about you now? I should point out our friends at On the Bench. They were winding you up in the last show.
Were they now?
Yeah, something about he's finally stuck his finger out or pulled his finger out or something. Yeah, you'll have to listen. It just came out yesterday. So
I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, you'll have to see which one of them. I'm not going to throw someone under the bus necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know you've been working on that.
I you know what I have been working on that. And I put it down again just for a little bit while I focus on our in-depth report for the Valkyrie. But that you guys got the advantage of getting a brand new kit.
Yeah, I kind of
engineered to perfection.
Unfortunately, we got that one because we needed to get a kit, and I got you a dog. I'm afraid that's my fault.
Now I'm wondering, are there any good car kits?
Oh, there is. But yeah, no, that's partially my fault.
But that's But
that's you are soul soldiering on. You are going to have it done before Dave comes over at the end of January.
I am a finisher.
Yes,
I'm known to finish.
Yes.
It actually the work has progressed on it, and I think I'm gonna I tried to install the tailpipe part, and they just these pieces of garbage, and they sort of just fell all apart. So I'm gonna make my own out of aluminum tube.
Have some fun with that. Exactly. Well, at least you're not buying battleship kits and photo etch after drinking far too much bourbon.
Yeah.
Yes, we heard about that, Ian. So I'm looking forward to seeing it when it's done.
Yeah.
Just when you think, you thought that aircraft carrier would have been enough to put them off.
Yeah. So there's a February deadline for the Moose Root Cup, and I shall meet that.
Yes, we're looking forward to having. We're starting to plan that out.
But I'm trying to get. We're doing that video series now.
Yep.
That's our Patreon exclusive, and we've got a part up. There's more parts to come. It's going to get more interesting as we go along.
It will.
And I've been working on that because actually there's a lot. It's not crazy. It's a little. It's just a lot. Crazy. It's complicated.
There's some pretty impressive detail.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot, working on that. That's a client project, so it's got to happen.
Yep.
And I don't want to slow down, or I'll.
We'll go from there. I know exactly.
Realize what I've done and stop. So I'm rolling on that. I'm trying to keep it going. Everything else is on hold. I'm gonna get these two things done.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah, with a priority on the Valkyrie for our video series.
But no, we'll have them. Yeah. We'll have them done. We'll have them done. And
I got something for you though. I'm bidding a kit.
He's bidding a kit, folks. This is live.
Here's the box, right? Now,
So
you know what, I'm notorious for like holding on to 20 years later, like I'm gonna finish that project I started, and
so it's all this talk about large stashes that's made you been thinking.
yeah, you know, I swore to myself I wouldn't, when I sort of came back, I wouldn't tear into new kits. I'd finish those half-started boxes I've been moving 8 times. And I've just been building this this Staghound. It's the RPM 1/72 Staghound. What a piece of crap! I'm binning it. So here she goes. Here's like a hole, and I had to scratch build part of it, and I got to think it was just a challenge to get this little thing together. And what really kind of put me over the edge was so it was just like the hull went together so terribly.
There was a crap load of tiny parts.
But look, I had the scratch build. There's a little ridge that runs along the.
Oh yeah, I see that.
The hull beside the turret.
Yeah.
But when I went to put the wheels on, the wheels do not fit under the mud guards, and so like the rear did, but the fronts don't. And I've actually spent a whole bunch of time like thinning. It was like
that
thinning
down.
That
explains all the new words your children are learning.
Yeah. They've heard some cursing. So this thing, adios. I'm not wasting another minute of my life.
Listen carefully.
Yeah. You know the other.
But you know what? You'll feel much better for it.
It's like a.
You realize we'll have at least one piece of complaint mail. Like why? But it's stuff.
You know what though? Great parts. Great parts for
parts.
Great parts for scratch building and that kind of thing. And you know what's interesting? That little kit. So the Staghound has had two motors, 2 transmissions.
Oh really?
And they give you all those parts, and I thought, oh well, I'll just be smart.
Something so small, 2 motors, 2 transmissions. Wow.
Yep. Because if one failed, it had a backup. So obviously, right? But
yeah.
And I thought, oh well, I'll just skip that stuff. I'll do it with the doors closed. I'll just make it easy, be so quick. It'll be a quick build, right? I've been struggling with it for like a year and a half. Forget it. It's over. And I finally read Stevens Loga did an article in, I think it was International Military Modeler magazine, where he did the RPM and he talked about it. And this guy, so he does a beautiful job on it, right? He replaces the coaxial gun and the 30 cal mounted on the top, and he gets a resin barrel. And what did he say? He says, "Oh, the worst part of this kit was the turret." And I thought, "Oh goodness, I'm not even at the turret," and it's all like the worst kit I've ever built.
This thing has over like 100 parts for such a tiny kit.
She's in the bin.
See, this is why I'm not building these small things anymore.
I'm in agreement. So,
your magnifying glass.
So my grandfather drove a Staghound,
right,
in Denmark and part of the liberation of Holland and Denmark. No, he was in Holland. But so I am going to,
unless he took a wrong turn.
Yeah,
but that's
he was in Denmark.
Okay.
No, he was in Holland, not Denmark.
Get it right.
I'm going to spring for the Tamiya 1/35 scale.
Attaboy.
And build a proper thing. I wanted to build something for I was going to give it to my brother, right? But I'm not going to struggle with this little thing. It's not
go for something bigger. Good for you, man. Good for you.
That's it.
All right, there you go. There you go. Send your complaints too. No, okay. So, sites and tips. So I was off browsing YouTube when I was bored one evening, and I found this Korean YouTube channel. And the one video I featured like a master modeler, and he's got a ton of stuff.
This looks awesome.
Huge stash, right? Yeah. But the whole channel. So the translation, it's called The Story.
Yes.
That's what it is. Translated from Korea, but they have a whole bunch of different things. So it's not just model kits, it's Gundam, it's video games, it's whatever, Lego. Looks like all sorts of different hobbies.
Okay, hobbies, like hobby stuff. Okay.
Hobby stuff.
Hobby life.
So there's definitely a lot of Gunpla stuff.
Okay.
A lot of model building stuff. Some Lego stuff if you're into that. Mm-hmm. All sorts of different crafts like needle felting and so it's a cool channel in general.
Yes.
So I just thought, it's worth definitely checking out. There's a lot of neat things. Some of the Gunpla stuff. Painted marble feel. Plan model introducing Gunpla marbling painting.
Huh.
That was just like 2 months ago. And this thing looks pretty amazing. So anyway, check that out. We have a link.
Really interesting.
Yeah, so we have a link in the show notes out of Korea. We're done. Any final last words, my friend?
Oh, nothing. Just to enjoy your
building.
models. Build some stuff.
Yeah.
Don't worry about screwing up.
And don't drink before you go to B&A models.
Oh, maybe you should drink.
Well, I don't know. Ian did that. I'm just saying. So as usual, as we like to say, we're winding up Ian from On the Bench. So don't forget, check out On the Bench.
Yes,
Our
what a
good
great
friends
show.
down there from Australia. They were back. They did a show this week. They're still dealing with a lot of bad forest fires down there.
That's rough.
We just hope everyone stays safe, etc.
Yeah, we wish them well. And
exactly. And we are going to have Dave up here at the end of January, beginning of February.
Yes.
We're going to meet up with him at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum.
It's going to be awesome.
Home of Heritage.
It's going to be a time.
Our good friend Alan, we're going to do a show there.
Yep.
With you and I and Dave and Alan from IPMS Hamilton and Heritage Con. We're going to have a good time. Going to do that. So check them out at On the Bench. Just do a Google search. You'll find it there. They tend to record on off weeks that we do. So you get your scale model goodness there. And also a fairly new show, the Scale Model Shed. They've done two regular shows. They've done a couple in between because they were at the Scale Model World in Telford. Ivan and the boys. So definitely check them out as well. And you can find them.
Try it out.
You can find them at Scale Model Shed. It's great to see that we've got more podcasts. I think now we can basically say the sun never sets on one of our podcast locations. North America and Europe and Australia now.
Perfect.
So exactly. So don't forget to subscribe. Let us know if you have any comments or suggestions. We love mail.
Yep.
ScaleModelPodcast@gmail.com. As I say, we record bi-weekly. It's available where your favorite podcasts are found, including iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, as well as our website at scalemodelpodcast.com. I also now post the episodes to our YouTube channel, so feel free to subscribe there. Once we get to 100 subscribers there, I can actually personalize the channel. Right now, you have to do a Google search. It's a random name, but afterwards, I can put youtube.com eventually /scalemodelpodcast.
Nice.
And Facebook, of course, as well. And, of course, we've talked about the Patreon page. So that's it for this week. So for episode 35, my name is Stuart Clark.
I'm Anthony Goodman.
Thank you, and be well.